I think it's safe to say that after this episode, Erwin Smith, Commander Erwin, is a bad motherfucker. Like, what he did this episode was crazy, and I can't wait to get to that part. But first, let's go through the beginning and get to where the episode really started to take off. So, of course, we have the Survey Corps trying to get Aaron in the military police, and we get some interesting dialogue between Ymir and Historia, where Ymir admits that she only kidnapped her to save herself. But yet but if you recall, Ymir really wanted Historia because she was the only one who had listened to her. She was like her. And you get the idea that, hey, Ymir really wants her back for friendship. But in this episode, it's like, yeah, I saved you only to save me. And it's like, okay, so the whole point of this is basically just one selfish act, and it's just a little backwards and twisted because again we really don't understand the political structure of this world. We don't understand the significance of the royal family and why Historia or not Historia, why Ymir would go to such great lengths. We know that by cooperating with Reiner and Bertolt and getting Historia back, that her life will be most likely spared. But Ymir even goes on to say that her life outside the walls will be better inside them. So what the hell is outside the walls? That's what I really want to know. Because for her to say something like that is absolutely crazy. So, I mean, outside of Titans, is there some civilization out there that's isolated, that's safe? I don't know. It's crazy. Again, we have more questions than answers. And then it's interesting to see that um, it's interesting to see the scene between the 104th Training Corps or the Cadet Corps where they actually get to talk to Bertolt. And it's cool to see their personalities shine. You have Mikasa, who's like, I don't care, get me back, Aaron. Especially that one part where she was looking at Bertolt, and I was like, holy cow. She looks scarier than a Titan right now. And then you have, Gene saying his little words of remember the old days, and then, or not Gene, Connie, and then Gene saying, yeah, we could kick Aaron's ass outside of this. It was really cool to see that little aspect of them. And then you have Bertolt, who just had this breakdown of, oh, we don't want to do it, but we had to do it. And it just goes to show you who's calling the shots here, who's really behind all this. I really want to know because they didn't want to do it, but they were just forced to do it. And they really enjoyed their time as soldiers, as Bertolt said, and it's all one big unfortunate happening. And so after that, you literally have Erwin, who somehow redirects his Titans that he has following him towards Reiner. So Reiner's inevitably going to be sandwiched. And so Erwin's whole idea is to sandwich Reiner and slow him down enough to the point of where he will release his hands and try to fight off some of the Titans, and then that's where they can get in. And that ends up happening. And here's I really love this scene because it speaks volumes about Erwin Smith as a character because okay, his plan is executed, slowing Reiner down. He lets his hands down to fight off some of the Titans, so Reiner and Aaron are exposed. And so he's like, charge. But at that point, his right arm he gets snatched up by a Titan. And it's crazy because at that point, we've seen time and time again, we've seen so many soldiers talk so big only to just, turn into babies when faced with a Titan or when injured and faced with a Titan. Of course, we had Mike, who he talked very big. He was very brave, so we thought. But when he was injured and he was face to face with Titans, he was scared. He wanted his life spared. He wanted help. This didn't happen with Erwin. Erwin bounced back just like that, like nothing happened. He was like, charge. He kept telling them to charge. He's like, and I think it was in that moment that, they obviously had to take advantage of the moment, but it was interesting to see that they stopped. They were like, hold on, we might need to help him. And he didn't ask for help. He was like, charge, don't worry about me. Because he even said that there is no future for us, especially with reclaiming these walls without Aaron. And so they charge, and Erwin, after losing an arm, the resilience on this man is crazy. After losing an arm, he deals the final blow to get Aaron back on Reiner. Crazy. How do you lose an arm and bounce back like that? Most people would still be in shock. Most people would have just died. We've seen so many times where literally someone's had their leg nipped or something and they just died to a Titan. Erwin most likely killed the Titan that snatched his arm off and then bounced back. That's crazy. And he could still manage to use his 3D maneuver gear with one arm. It's absolutely crazy. But enough about Erwin Smith. They end up getting Aaron back, but it's not over because Reiner is throwing Titans, and the impact from the Titan hitting the ground actually messes up Mikasa, and Mikasa and Aaron end up falling off of the horse, and Mikasa's still very much injured from the point in the episode where she actually got grabbed by a Titan, almost died. The Titan actually squeezed her and then injured her, so she can't really move. And they hear a Titan coming, and to no avail, it is a smiling Titan, the Titan that devoured Aaron's mother at the very beginning of the series. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, what's the significance of this right now? What does this mean? If that Titan is there at this point in time, is that a coincidence or does she actually have some kind of significance? And I can't wait for next week's episode because we're gonna more light is going to be shed on this particular meeting, and we're going to be able to see exactly if this is a coincidence or if this is all intentional. And hopefully a lot of our questions will be answered because we've just had so many questions, but very few answers. And I'm really hoping that next week's episode isn't the end because, man, would I hate for it to end like this with so many questions. I would like it to end on a much more somber note where a lot of our questions are answered. Like, for instance, with season 1, it was interesting because we did have a lot of questions answered, but we also still have that surprise factor of, oh, there's more time shifters, the enemy. We've just now begun to see the enemy and there's still more to learn. And that was very interesting because it was satisfying in that, of course, they defeated the first enemy, things of that nature. But it seems like with this episode, there might not be too much satisfaction. But again, that's, maybe me jumping the gun on things. Maybe we'll just have to see. But anyways, this episode was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10. Animation was good. The battle scenes were good. Everything just seemed to pan out extremely well. I didn't really like the Historia Ymir situation is just a little fuzzy because we don't really have a lot of answers to what's going on, but I have a feeling it'll work itself out and things will just edge out by the end of next week's episode. So that was my only gripe and complaint about it, but the other parts of the episode more than made up for it. So I was very happy with this episode and I give it a 10 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. This is Mysterious Man Toby signing off.